Okay, so the next step is to scan in all of these corset pattern pieces so that we can clean them up in Illustrator and then hopefully create a pattern that I can then print off as many copies as I like and amend and play around with and not affect the original pattern. You can also do this in the old school form of pattern cutting, like where you just iron all those pattern pieces that you saw onto pattern cutting paper, and you, with a pattern master or a ruler, you then clean up the lines and you add seam allowance. That's one way of doing it, and if you feel more comfortable doing it that way, then go for it. It's exactly the same process. It's just this way I can make multiple copies, play around with them, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to import. I've got an A4 scanner. So as I said before, some of these might fall off my A4 screen. The pattern might be this size, and I'm going to show you how to sort that out in a minute. So first of all, let's just scan this. I'm only going to do one or two pieces just to show you the idea. I'm not going to obviously do the whole lot because that'll take absolutely ages. But in the meantime, let's just wait for this to scan. Okay, so this is my first pattern piece. As you can see, look, it actually falls off the A4 scan size, so that's fine. It's very easy. All I'm going to do is I'm going to scan it again, or I'm going to go to my scanner. I'm going to actually physically go to my scanner and just move that pattern piece along so the other half of it falls within the area, the scan area. Okay, and you might be wondering, well, how can you get that perfectly right? How's it going to match up? What if it's slightly off or rotated? So I'm going to show you how you can correct that with quite good amount of accuracy. So first of all, I'm going to hit Shift, Control, and L, and that'll make the pattern darker, just so we can see it a bit clearer. Okay. If you want to do that, just go Image, Adjustments, and then Levels, and you can change the levels of it. No. Okay, that's weird. Okay, I'm going to have to do this one manually because I'm using the screen capture. It's got hotkeys. So copy, and then I'm going to make the canvas size, the height of it, to be, I don't know, let's say 60 for now, and make sure that it goes from the top down. Okay, so here we go. Let's zoom out. I'm just going to paste the other one on top of it, and you see we've got a problem. We go like, how do you link that up? That's going to be a bit of a problem. I could do it from these 2 points, but I could be off by a couple of mil, and that might be a problem. So I've got to make sure the rotation's right. So I'm going to go to my magic eraser tool, and I'm just going to make sure it's on off contiguous, and you put tolerance up to 20 or something. It doesn't matter about that. Don't worry about that. And just click anywhere in the white, and suddenly all the white disappears, and all you've got is this black outline, which you can see through to the other page below. But first of all, I'm going to select my background and Shift Control and L, and just darken that so we can see it a bit clearer. Go back to my other layer, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm just going to position that as best as possible over the other mark. That's why the notches are great. See, the rotation's slightly off, so we need to rotate it from that point that I just placed there. To do that, you can hit Control T, and that will bring up it'll bring up the transform box, which allows you to move it. Now, there's a rotation point in the transform box, which is this little icon, or this little kind of image here. Hopefully you can see that on the screen. I'll zoom in. There it is. Okay, it hasn't changed size. That's a pain. So it's just there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and drag that on top of the point that I matched up. So now, when I rotate it, it's going to go from that point, which is what we want. If I put it anywhere else, it wouldn't line up. So here, you see now it's going to rotate around that point. So I'm just going to line those up as best as possible. Okay, that's quite close. Just going to go in, check it's alright. That's great. I'm going to hit Enter to close the transform. See, I can't transform it anymore. But now also, let's say you're slightly off, like, you're there. You can use the directional arrow keys on your keyboard to just nudge it around. Just to nudge it backwards and forwards. See? Very, very simple. So let's just check that pattern's done. Yep, that's perfect. So I'll zoom out. I'm just going to hit Layer and then Flatten Image, so it's all one image. So I can now copy this and paste this into Illustrator. So I'm just going to take this, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to go to Illustrator. Okay, this is one I've already done. Forget this. New, I'll show you that in a minute. And we're just going to make a new file about 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters. I'm just going to paste that in there, and I'm going to go on to my next scan. Okay, I can just lock that if I want to with Control 2. So I'm going to go back to Photoshop. I'm going to close this, we don't need this anymore, and I'm going to scan in my next one. So import. Obviously I'm doing this quite slowly, but you can do this a lot faster. So you might think, oh, this is taking so much time. Well, to be honest, it doesn't take that long if you do it a lot. So I'm just going to scan the next one. Luckily the next one's just it all fits on one A4 page, so I don't have to do that process we just did with adding, or yeah, you know what we just did. So I'm going to scan this in. Yeah, so this is our A4 piece, which is very simple. So I'm just going to hit Shift Control L, that's to darken it again. I'm then going to select all of it, because we don't need to add anything to it, copy, and just paste it into my Illustrator document. Okay, and these are all going to be guaranteed the right size because you scanned them in, you didn't change the file size or the image size or anything else. So, and I'm just going to select all of them, and I'm just going to lock them all. There we go, lock selection, that's great. So now I can't select these in any way whatsoever, because obviously I want to draw my pattern over the top of it. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to start off with quite a bright colour, just so it's visible over the background.